candidates of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party as we discuss the issues related to women and families that affect us here in St. Kitts and Nevis and in the Caribbean as a whole.
Hi, good morning, and welcome to Women in Focus. As you heard, it's a radio program catered to women, specifically for women. It's put together by the Labour Women's Arm of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. And with me today, I'm your host, Adelcia Falance, and with me today we have a guest co-host, Ms. Kashima Blossom Gums, and our featured guests today are Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, candidate for constituency number 1 and deputy leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, and His Excellency Kenneth Kenny Douglas, the candidate for constituency number 5, my hometown. We're gonna let the gentleman just say a brief word and.
A very pleasant good morning to Adelcia and Miss Gums, and also to my colleague Kenny. It's a pleasure for me being here in the studio again with you guys the very first time, and I'm looking forward to a real interactive discussion this morning.
Awesome, we're looking forward to that too.
Muy buenos días también a ustedes también. Yo quiero decir que good morning, Miss Connor. How are you?
Wonderful.
And good morning, Blossom.
Good morning.
Good morning, my boy Jeffrey Hanley, deputy leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. I want to say also that I'm very, very happy to be here. Always very happy to be between ladies.
Thank you. All right, we will start the ball rolling with our icebreaker, our rapid fire questions, just testing your knowledge a bit about women in power, and just to kind of give a more relaxed feel to the session. All right, we'll start with our first question. Sports. What is the name of Kim Collins' female coach who led him to success in the later years of his career? Anyone knows?
Well, I would want to say Mrs. Collins eventually. I think it's his wife, who was his girlfriend, became his fiancée, and then they got married. A Jamaican.
A Jamaican?
Yes.
Paula?
That's correct.
All right, let's see who can get the next one.
Who is the vice chair of the women's arm of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party?
That's a very simple one, right? Very easy one.
Very easy one. That's Adelcia Connor? or Blossom?
No, I think it might be Naima Menon.
Naima has, yes.
No,
Yes, Hazard.
I thought it was Adelcia Connor, assisted by Blossom.
Not yet, maybe in the future. All right, so which Caribbean island do you think has the highest paid prime minister?
Wow, St. Kitts and Nevis.
I don't think so at all. I would want to probably think it might be Barbados.
Barbados.
The Honorable
Maya. Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
I wonder what my gift would be this morning.
I admire that woman so much. She's such a powerhouse.
So you get 2 already, I will get the next one.
Let's see.
Name one common thing women use the toothbrush for other than brushing their teeth.
Oh my
Brushing
God.
the eyebrows.
That's an easy one.
Shaping the eyebrows.
Yes, and shaping the
edges.
The edges.
All right, guys. Thank you for indulging us. It was a little fun rapid fire question section. I appreciate the humor.
Right.
All right, and we go straight into our interview, and we'll start the ball rolling with our deputy leader, Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. We're going to go a bit into the civil service. Your history is in the civil service, and you have demonstrated your commitment in improving education. You're very vocal about education, academic and advancement, and empowering our youth. How does your plan for education with the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party support women to become better, more engaged? And what are some of the programs that you initiated for youth that would that you would want to bring back, reintroduce when you get back into government?
Thank you very much, Adelcia. And of course, we all know that women play a vital role in our society or any society, and I'm happy to be here this morning to share. I know we don't have a lot of time to share some of the benefits that women would continue to receive under the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party from an educational standpoint. Now, you would remember, Adelcia, that under the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party government administration, we introduced laptops in our primary schools. Mm-hmm. This was taken out, and this, of course, was a disadvantage not only to the students, but also to the many mothers who had difficulties in ensuring that their students were able to keep up, especially in the pandemic.
Yes.
And I think this is one area that we would hope will not return. So we will be working on doing that, because that in itself becomes an income support
Absolutely.
for our mothers. You recognize as well that too often our mothers spend, fathers as well, but we're zeroing on mothers because there's women.
Yes, women
would
in focus.
spend quite a lot on sending their students or their children to classes. Mm-hmm. We are hoping that after the whole revision of the curriculum and the whole review of education, we might be able to lessen this, taking the burden off of the parents and ensuring that the classrooms are so adequately equipped and the right resources are there, so there wouldn't be much need for these lot of extra classes that parents who can't afford find themselves making that sacrifice, because parents, we do what we have to do for our children. There are teachers who are working elsewhere that I feel that is not the right place for them. They can give more if you move them from that area and put them in this area. They'll be able to better serve, and as a result, everybody would be able to benefit. Another thing is that the teaching profession, it's occupied with a very high percentage of female teachers. So once we can find some ways of making some incentives, additional incentives given to our teachers, females again would be benefiting. And some of these incentives don't necessarily mean always money.
Right.
Yes, money is important, and we have said that we are reviewing teachers' salaries, police, and all of those once, when we enter the government. But simple incentives like, I try it out now. While I was at the Bronte Welch Primary School, one way of incentivizing my teachers, I never allowed them to work on their birthdays.
Oh.
I never allowed my teachers at Bronte Welch to work on their birthdays. I let the cat out the bag now.
Yes.
The only condition they would do that if they did not have their work prep done. But once they presented the work prep prior to their birthday, they got their birthday off. Because teachers need time for themselves and that kind of stuff. At least I was placed at the Bronte Welch to manage my school, so I managed it according to how I saw the need. So I believe once these are done across the board, you would get more out of your your female teachers, and as a result, the country would be productive. Of course, there's a much need for us to bring back the extracurricular activities in schools.
Absolutely.
In terms of the school clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And these are doable. Again, I don't want to be sounding like Brantywedge, but yes, we were the number one, and we are the number one primary school at that time.
Big up
I still
yourself.
have to big up Tucker Clark and Beach Alley and all those in my constituency. But I remember when we decided that we were going to do clubs on a particular day. I think it might have been Friday. So we had instructions from 1 until 1:30 or 1:45, and then from 2 o'clock until 3:30. The entire school was divided into different clubs. So you had children who were exposed to culinary arts, drumming, boys scouts. We had a Cub Scout group there, art and craft, and I'm not remembering the other one, but I think it was something probably with IT in terms of the technology. And I'm thinking that once we do these extracurricular activities, that will help tremendously. And if you would have followed us in the last election, 2020 election, I had announced that we are going to have a national after-school program, which would almost mirror what you have in the US in terms of the YMCA. This again would assist parents, primarily females, because the children would be in a structured program that would be able to keep them occupied. And when I mean a structured program, it would require a fleet of school buses, which is well needed, so that we can be able to bus our children to the different areas and also at home. We talk about technology. We are going to be doing these things that the children have to swipe in and swipe out, so parents would know exactly where their children are when we're doing these after school program, because you know how you mothers are. You always worry
Mama Bear.
about your children. And just last night, one of my youth had one of my colleagues' child, and every 2 seconds she's asking me, is he safe? Is he safe? So I know that. Another area that I would be pushing, which would be beneficial to females, the entire federation as well, is that I had the opportunity of visiting the Spectrum unit up at the industrial site. And I want to commend the teachers who are up there, Teacher Claxton and Teacher Donna Hughes and the other ladies. They are doing an amazing job. But sad to say, the space that they are working in, it's limited. And I would want to ensure that we invest in the Spectrum unit so that children who are autistic can get the right support. Right now they offer play therapy, and when I walked in this space and they told me that they have 100 and something students that they deal with on rotation, it's very painful because it is just not adequate. I am going to ensure that a great focus be placed on this under education, so that those children who are autistic or differently able challenge would be able to feel that they are part of society. And I say this because I have an autistic nephew, grown now, 19, and performs just like ordinary children, but it's just that he don't really communicate much in conversation. And of course, he's in New York. He's not locked away from the regular children. And in our society, there is a stigma, and we need to ensure that we break that stigma. There are students who are autistic, but they are great readers. They are great mathematicians. We now need to find a way of incorporating them, making it all inclusion in our education system, and again provide the right resources. I made a call that we need persons coming forward to go away so that we can invest in them to do speech therapy, to the occupational therapy. And I'm not talking about you trying to go and get a loan. I am saying to you, once this is your interest, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis will ensure that we get these professionals, so that we will be able to better serve our children. And it is a burden lifter for mothers in particular, because I have seen them, I've interacted with them, and it's a pain. Matter of fact, there was one who resigned from her job in St. Kitts and traveled overseas to relocate because one of her children were not getting the adequate support that she thought that he should have gotten because he's autistic. And I mean, when she showed me pictures, you know, in a corner and that kind of stuff, I mean, we can no longer do that. So I am hoping that I will be able to make that change that will be able not only to benefit mothers or women, but also the family, because the fathers feel that same pain. And of course, single mothers would be a focus. We're not promoting pregnancy in school, but I think once that happens, we need to make sure. We have a good program. I know we're going to get to it a bit with Project Viola, where certain resources are put, but I want to take it to another level where scholarships, academic scholarships are available for these single mothers under our new education reform.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. I love the sound of the inclusivity, especially including the disabled persons that we have in society, because as you mentioned, they do get left out a lot, and we do need to have a more all-encompassed education system. Because people need to be more educated on a whole about these things because of the stereotypes, to break the stereotype. All right. So thank you for that, Dr. Hanley. And we'll move on to discussion.
Sports is an area where boys and girls can find opportunity for educational and professional advancement. However, sport is not always safe for our children and women. We've heard about predatory behavior and sexual harassment in sports spaces. What do you think needs to be done to make sports a safer space for girls and women athletes especially? Mr. Douglas.
Well, good morning once again, and I think that's a very, very good question. We realize that women, ladies, have been participating more in sports at this present moment. Once ago, people used to see sports as just for men, mostly men. But I'm happy to say that being involved in sports in St. Kitts, football, cricket, I have realized that ladies have now realized that they can make a way to sports. When I speak about sports, I love to mention Jamaica especially, because these are places who take their sports seriously. They invest heavily in sports because they recognize that sports is an avenue where you can help persons to come out of poverty. But in regards to the question, I think that females should have you should put a lot of interest in females when it comes to sports, because you mainly see men around sports. And I want to zero in on one very important thing where just recently in the USA, we watch news every day, and we realize that is one of the biggest problems. When you have females in sports, the males are predators. So they prey on these females, especially the children. You know, they say all sort of things, and they let them know that everything's going to be all right and all of these things. Some of the things that we can do to prevent all of these things from happening. One, we have to make sure that we educate these coaches, these trainers, everybody who are involved when it comes to these ladies. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we have done is to make sure that we involve ladies coaches, ladies physiotherapists, ladies masseurs, ladies around these ladies. You know, especially when it comes to menstruation, for example. Some men, most men, they either don't know about it or they don't want to know about it. And so what is best? When we have female teams, female players, you make sure, you ensure that there are ladies chaperone around, ladies coaches. And so here in St. Kitts and Nevis and in the wider world, what we are trying to do right now is when we have female teams, we make sure that we have female coaches. We train them to be coaches, we train them to be physios, we train them to be this and that, so that when we select our teams, they are filled with females also. And in this way, these kind of activities would really decrease. But if you're going to use male coaches or male whatever, you have to make sure that you use persons that you can trust, persons who you can depend on, that they will make sure that they don't be predators to these young ladies. I think Mr. Hanley mentioned it in education just now, where when you as a mother send out your child, your female daughter, your daughter out there to play football or cricket or something like this, she will be concerned. Every minute of the day she will be calling this and calling that. So you have to make sure that you use persons who you can trust. If you don't use persons who you can trust, this can be a very, very, very big problem. So that is one of the things we have to do. I think also one of the things that we can do when these things happen, I think that we should have harsher penalties for persons who commit all of these things. And so these things would probably be a deterrent to these coaches, these male coaches who are predators when it comes to these females. Male or female, exactly. So
And
these
it's a
are
crime,
something that we
actually.
can
I
do.
think you state
Yes.
it as it is. It is a crime.
Yes, so it will. So we have to be more serious. We have to take it as a more serious issue when it comes to female. Even though these things happen with males also, but it is very ticklish when it comes to our female. So we must improve reporting mechanisms to respond more quickly and decisively to report on these harassment.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Douglas. Mr. Hanley, tell us a bit more about schools. How would you try to improve our school spaces? I know you hinted a bit to it earlier in the first response, but tell us a bit more on how you intend to improve the school spaces for them to be more sensitive about gender issues, particularly towards the young girls. Mr. Douglas also alluded to that as well in his response in terms of speaking about menstruation and having that knowledge of that. But I'll let you elaborate.
Thank you very much, Adelcy, again. You have been following my presentations, and I have been speaking passionately about education in terms of not only building the New Bastia High School on the new site, but also renovating and upgrading all of our schools.
Right.
And one area in which we would address the question that you would have posed to me, I would say that and all of you might agree, the bathrooms at our schools, and I know that this has been a concern for not only teachers, but parents. So I believe that once you have cleaner bathrooms, well kept and maintained bathrooms, our females and males, of course, would feel very safe being able to use these spaces. Too often we have children, even in the primary school level, and it is sad, where they want to use the bathroom, but because of the condition of the bathrooms, they hold their stuff in until they reach home, which is extremely dangerous. And in renovating our schools, as I've given the commitment, our bathrooms will be totally demolished and rebuilt. And in doing that, we must bring them to the level of the hotel-style bathroom. A lot of our children, they are into their image, and they like to look at their bodies. So we have to make sure that the space that we create help with that, and at the same time make sure that they are extremely comfortable with the bodies. And I believe once you have clean bathrooms with bathroom attendants, I'm not talking about a school cleaner, I am talking about providing another job opportunity for someone, their job from 8:30 in the morning to 3:30 or 4 o'clock is just to man our bathrooms. At particular time, they're in and they're out. And of course, these bathrooms must be outfitted with shower stalls. Because if we are going to be pushing physical education, we need to make sure that our females in particular, because it's the program, would be able to feel comfortable that they want to go and play basketball or they're doing the exercise and they know that they have this nice safe space that they can go and take their showers. In canvassing, I've heard the cry of our mothers, and I'm happy for this opportunity because I will put it out there now, and I know I will get the full support from my comrade leader. It was drawn to my attention while canvassing a house with 4 female children, girls, and their mother, all at menstrual age. And when the mother showed me, or we calculated how much they spent a month on sanitary pads, I was shocked. It is expensive.
It is.
And I think the time has come for us to ease that burden off of our mothers and take that off of sanitary pads. And as a government, we have to make sure that these sanitary pads are also available in our schools so that our students can access them. I know that we have them, but I'm not talking about just in the event of an accident. I am talking about knowing a parent is struggling, they should be able to get their supplies for their daughters. And of course, we have to make sure that we continue to push better menstrual health education. We have to prepare our children even from the primary school level in terms of how the body functioning. And parents, I urge you, don't talk in a baby talk to your children. Let them know what is to happen. It happens at early age, some at 10, some before, some at a later stage. We have to make sure that we prepare our children so when it happens, it is not an embarrassment to them, but it would make them feel as if, that they are maturing and that kind of stuff. And of course, finally, in terms of the sexual and reproductive health education through the health and wellness curriculum, I remember when I went to the Bastia Junior High School, I had a health and family life. I was taught that by Zita Bori, Teacher Bori, and Miss Morton. I am not certain if it is done that same way of what I experience. But I'm hoping after I get the opportunity to review what happens in education, if this is a gap, it is our intention to fill that gap. And I think we need to take it down to the primary school level as well, because you see our children, they are maturing more rapidly than how we might have when we were growing up. So I think I'll stop there until there's another question.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Handy. I particularly like the fact that you mentioned having the sanitary pads available in schools. Because sometimes, not just with accidents, but sometimes, persons, as you mentioned, they can't afford. And, you don't know the conditions that they may come to school in. And to have that available.
Not cutting you off, though, but one of the things we need to also ensure that happens is that parents sometimes get out of this pride, because as a result, their children suffer because they know that they're not in a position to do certain things, and rather than coming for the help or indicating, they do that. I throw this in because it also helps mothers. I recognize when I was in the classroom, there were some children who were coming to school And I know for a fact that they were not eating. And immediately I had a discussion with my teachers and I said, this is what we're going to do. I am going to start to invite some of those that we pick out or I identify. And we started providing breakfast for those children. But I sold it as if, I know some of you had your breakfast, but because you're in school too early, you might need something else to eat. Please let me know and you'll have breakfast with the principal. And eventually, persons were coming, and that is when they were sharing that they really didn't have anything to eat. So it's quite a lot happening for mothers, and we believe that we can alleviate some of those problems for them.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Mr. Douglas, what are some of the benefits of women participating in sports, and why would you want to see more women involved?
More women involved in sports. That is something that we definitely have to take into consideration. I think, you see, education is the most important thing. I think that ladies growing up nowadays days feeling as if sports is only for males. And so if we educate them and let them know you can make a livelihood, you can make a living from sports. We have millionaires, females all over the place. Serena Williams, Venus Williams, all of these people, they came from humble beginnings, but they played tennis at an early age, and now that they are millionaires. I think it's Serena. Serena has won, I think it was 20 or 21 Grand Slam titles. She's a multi-millionaire. She has all sorts of things now. So we have to educate females and let them know that sport is not just for male. Right? So number one thing is education. I want you to know also that those persons who are shy also, sports help to boost their self-confidence, their self-esteem. As soon as you go into sport and you realize how sport is, all of these things will come naturally. I think also that sports promotes an appreciation of for the ladies of their bodies. Some of us, we are in our bodies and we are not comfortable. Yeah. I think in sports, you realize that. And that is why, Jeffrey spoke about it, our next Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Jew, he will make sure that all of these things that we are telling the people that we are going to bring for St. Kitts and Nevis, we are going to develop St. Kitts and Nevis, we are going to make sure that gyms and even the swimming pools, because when you're in the swimming pool, ladies will have to put on the bath suit and all of these things, and if they appreciate their bodies, they will not really be scared to put on their two-piece bath suit or their one-piece bath suit. They will just go and they'll participate, and these are some of the things that we need to do. And
keep
so
toned too.
That's right. And so I think he mentioned physical education also, and all of these things that the ladies have to be looking forward to. We are going to make sure that these are things that we're going to put in the schools, in primary schools and secondary schools, and make sure that ladies understand that sports is a way for them to elevate themselves.
Thank you so much for your response.
Well, thank you. Unfortunately, we are running a bit out of time, so we will have to wrap up at this point, and I'll just allow you to give any final words, any particular areas that you wanted to touch before we close out the show.
Well, thank you very much, Adelsia and Blossom, for this yet another opportunity for me to share. But I want to give the assurance to our single mothers out there that there is hope on the horizon under new Labour administration. As I mentioned last night, that I love to beg, and I know we are going to have a lot of scholarships available. And some of these scholarships, or many of these scholarships, will be available for our single mothers who want that opportunity to elevate themselves. Yes, they would have made the sacrifice and they might have gotten their daughter or their sons at an early age, and they did everything for the child, and now they want to focus on them. They can be rest assured that we will assist in that area. We have the Project Viola, which is a model program in the region. This was developed in St. Kitts, with our gender specialists at the time, our directors.
By the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party.
Yes, under the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, teacher Ingrid Charles, Ambassador Rosalind Hazel, and also Cecilia Christopher and all of the others. That program really supported mothers or students, girls who got pregnant in school. And we will ensure that we continue to lend that support. We'll try our best to discourage, but when these things happen, we would make sure that we have the resources there as well. And of course, we are going to create many more opportunities for our adults to be educated. It's not too late for you to go after what you ever dreamed for. And as your new Minister of Education in a few weeks, I will ensure that your dreams will become that reality in going back to school, getting your classes, and also even going off to university. Learning several skills, because we intend to introduce skills in some of our primary schools, making some of our primary schools and schools on a whole specialist schools. It's a whole total change around, and mothers like fathers would also be proud and happy of that. We are going to be extremely supportive to our parents, and we are going to decentralize a lot of the stuff. You won't have to go all the way up to CFBC to do some classes. We are going to use other spaces as well in terms of our training centers, learning, our resource centers, centers of excellence.
Brilliant.
Come on.
Yes, and I want to also assure our women who are participating in sports that there will be a lot of opportunities out there for them. For example, Jeffrey just mentioned it in education, and I want to say that in sports, they will also be getting scholarships in football, in basketball, in cricket, all of these sports. But I want them to know also that we want to be looking at new areas in sports, gymnastics, cheerleading, all of these things, because ladies have to know that we are looking forward to them. I want to mention the new sport that we introduced a couple of years ago, handball. Handball is something like football, but you are playing football with your hand. And so I want the ladies to know that we are looking forward to making sure that they get these opportunities also that we'll be providing for them. I want them to know also that we are going to ensure also that we have facilities, equipment, resources that can help them to be comfortable while playing sports. I think if they know that they're going to be well comfortable, if they know that they're going to have insurance, so if they get injured or anything like that, they will be safe and secure. And the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party will ensure that this happens with women. But I want all out there, even the men also, to know that we are going to make sure that they themselves also are covered.
Mm-hmm. What about the different cultural groups? Because we have a very culturally diverse community now. We know in the Spanish-speaking community that they gravitate more towards baseball and stuff like that.
In 2020, that was raised in my campaign, because I'm from East Basti, and that's a heavy area, and it was our intention then, and it is something that we will do still, where we'll be introducing the softball in our primary schools as well as part of the extracurricular activity. Also the English as a second language, and also Spanish. And we're looking at Mandarin as well. And these are going to start even from the early childhood unit ages in terms of preschool.
Brilliant.
I'm sorry, just one more thing I want to say too, because
sure.
Because he talked about the Spanish people, I want them to know that he talked about softball, but I want him to know that baseball would also come there. Also, all of these sports that these Spanish people play, I want them to know also that we must encourage Spanish speakers to be teachers, to be coaches. So we'll have more teachers and more coaches who speak Spanish also. So the Spanish children would not be left out.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, Kashima, thank you for being here with me as a guest host. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And thank you, gentlemen, for
most
also
welcome.
coming
My
out
pleasure.
to share your plans with us.
Thank you very much.
And just to let the public know that we have a few activities lined up for this week, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. We will be having our national public meeting down in constituency number 5.
SP, where the best be.
It is Excellency Kenneth Kenny Douglas. We look forward to having you there. You'll be centered in Fig Tree at 7:30 this evening. And tomorrow, all 8 constituencies will be having their on-the-block branch rallies. That's something else to look forward to. And on Saturday, the 23rd, we have national walkthroughs in 2 constituencies, Constituency 8 and Constituency 6. Both will be starting at 5 p.m. And on Sunday, another national public meeting and a gospel rally will be held in constituency number 1 with our comrade Jeffrey Hanley. And that will be on Ponds Pasture at 7:30 p.m. So we look forward to having you coming out and engaging in these activities, and to tune in again next week, Thursday. We will have another special guest host, and our featured guest will be the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas. So we look forward to having you with us again next week, Thursday at 10 a.m. And thank you very much for tuning in once again.
My pleasure.
Found the sound 98.9 FM.
Vitamin C.
Halib Orange Effervescent.
Halib Orange.
Halib Orange by 7